Okay, what's up guys? Jordan Bain here, Chewin the Fact, episode 13. Today we're talking about if I was starting out today in real estate. So if today was my very first day in real estate sales, okay? It's a common thing that I come across, mainly because obviously in marketing, many agents that I come across are brand new agents, you know, first 12, first 6, first 2 or 3 months a lot of the time. And of course with our business, with my marketing business, it's typically quite rare that we do a great deal of work with with brand new agents. So I thought I'd obviously just take the time and explain to those who are new what I would recommend that you do. Now, the real estate industry has changed quite a bit in the last, 5-10 years. When most current agents started out, finding data was a lot easier. Door knocking people was a lot easier. Letterbox drops had a lot more success. Whereas in today's environment, real estate environment, it is a little bit more difficult, mainly because everyone does letterbox drops these days. So trying to separate yourself to the old heads of the industry, I'll call them, or maturer agents of the industry who have had a stranglehold on people's traditional letterboxes for a very long time. You're just not going to get noticed. Secondly, obviously in the day and age of COVID-19 and coronavirus, whatever else, door knocking is difficult because people don't want anything to do with you. They want to basically push you away. And then of course data in terms of phone canvassing is quite difficult unless you're going into an agency that has existing data ready to go, ready for you to contact. It's extremely difficult to try and extract that data. A lot of people are on the do not call register these days. Even the ones who aren't, you've typically got landlines. People don't answer landlines these days if they even have a landline. And then of course mobiles. We've all been there, right? You call a mobile, they screen your call and they'll text you back saying, what do you want, right? So people just don't like answering their phone to unknown numbers these days. So if you're a brand new agent, it's very difficult to establish yourself the same way as I did, or many of your senior agents in your agency would have established themselves as well. So it's really important for me to share with you what I would recommend. As I said, there's plenty of new agents entering the industry at the moment. Of course, the market's great, so every man and his dog wants to be a real estate agent at the moment. Obviously, with people getting laid off, I've come across a lot of pilots and obviously tradies and stuff who are entering the industry trying to make a name for themselves as an agent, because of course their traditional work has died off, or they've been laid off, of course. So let's cut to the chase. What would I do if today was my very first day in real estate, knowing what I know now from a 10-year career as an agent myself, and having the knowledge that I have in the marketing, advertising and branding space? Here's what I would focus on, okay? Well, number one, of course, the first thing you should do before you do anything else, before you invest any time or money, I absolutely recommend going and finding a mentor. The best mentor to find would be the number one agent in your office. If the agents in your office are shit, probably change offices, go find a mentor who's in your area, who's the number one agent, or better yet, the most recommended agent, because obviously if they're the most recommended agent, they focus heavily. They may not be the best agent, they may not transact the most amount of sales, but if they're the most recommended agent, it means they give a shit about their personal brand. They give a shit about their clients. They give a shit about giving 10 out of 10 customer service and client experiences, okay? So that would be my number one thing. Go and find a mentor in your area or in your office that you can shadow, work for bugger all money to start with, and just learn from them. Try and leverage off their personal brand. Try and leverage off the contacts, the database, the reputation and trust that they've already created, and just try and build your brand that way. The second thing I would do is you need to remember that if it's my number one, if it's day one in my real estate journey today, whether I like it or not, I need to accept that no one knows who the fuck Jordan Bain is, okay? Or no one knows who you are, okay? So the first point of call is you need to start by introducing yourself to the marketplace. And you want to try and do this as much as you can, as quickly as you can, because I can tell you right now that you will never have the same amount of energy as you do right now in your real estate career, okay? So focus on introducing yourself to the market. Because what you're going to do is, if you can saturate your market with your name, your personal brand, your face, your image, whatever else, who you work for, what you look like, eventually over time, that's going to create recognition. If you can create enough recognition, you're going to create more reputation. If you create reputation, you create credibility. If you create credibility and reputation, trust is a byproduct of that. If you can generate trust, you'll generate leads, you'll generate opportunities, you'll generate listings, and in turn generate sales and generate revenue. So you need to introduce yourself to the market as much as you can, as quickly as you can, okay? Now, of course, there's different ways of doing this. One way is the traditional way. The traditional way essentially is cold calls, door knocks, letterbox drops, right? Getting face-to-face with people or getting on the phone with people. As I said before, that's extremely difficult in the current marketplace. So what I would recommend instead is trying to find a niche, okay? And what I mean niche, I generally talk about a certain style of property, okay? I didn't do this. I wish I did. I actually did it later in my career, and I wish I did it earlier. I used to focus on, because I was in more of a prestige market, not a lot of people wanted to sell the entry-level properties, like the renovator properties, ready renovators, I used to call them, right? So the great thing for me was, if I'd sell something that was in a prestige market that was ready to be renovated, people would come in, builders and mums and dad renovators, whatever else, would come in and look at it as a flipper, right? So you typically get 2 transactions out of it. The good thing is as well is all the top agents in my area at the time didn't want to sell these style of properties because it was reflective on their personal brand. They were trying to be prestige agents, right? So they were all fighting it out for the $2-3 million properties, or even $1 million plus properties back then. That was a lot of money, and it left me with less competition to fight it out for the ready renovators. I went and got contacts, builders, plumbers, chippies, sparkies, whatever else that I could refer to people as well. So obviously, if it was a mum and dad renovating couple just trying to make a quick $100,000 or whatever it might be, I could introduce them to trades that I had in my ecosystem, right, or my circle of influence. So that's what I did. Eventually, I started focusing on ready renovators, and that led to more sales, because ultimately I started being known as the guy who had all of those ready renovated properties. You introduce one buyer to those properties. So I'm just going to mute my emails coming through. Apologies if that's too loud. But essentially, you get one property that's 3-bed, 1 bath on X amount of square meters, ready to be renovated. You go and use that, leverage into something else, okay? So leverage into another property. You go and door knock a street or letterbox drop a street, saying that you are the specialist of that style of property. You pick up another one, and then you can introduce all of those buyers, the leftover buyers, to the new property that you've just listed, okay? So then it builds momentum. So the first thing I would do is I would find a market that is less competitive. Find a niche, that is less competitive, okay? So if you work in the city, for example, or in an inner city market, 1-bedders. No one wants to sell 1-bedders. They're a pain in the ass. You're gonna get body corporates. You got to, it's low entry. It's typically first home buyers, uneducated buyers. So you've got to do a lot of time with a lot of educating on the market, educating on contracts, all the other jazz that goes with it. So 1-bedroom apartments, for example, are quite difficult, okay, or they're a little bit more difficult to sell, and most of the experienced agents don't really like selling them, okay? But eventually, if you keep doing that, you'll start picking up a few 2-bedders, and then a few 3-bedders, right? And then if someone's buying a 3-bedder or a 2-bedder, they could be downsizing, okay? So then you might pick up a few houses along the way. So that's the second thing I'd focus on. The third thing I'd focus on is start creating content around your niche, okay? Create content around the niche product that you sell or that you want to focus on selling. So if it's 1-bedroom apartments, talk about one-bedroom apartments and talk about buying a property through Body Corporate or buying, in a city, whatever it might be. You be the expert on that. I'm not the expert. Or if it's renovators, be the expert on renovators. What should you look for if you're buying a rundown property or a dilapidated property or whatever it might be? Talk about the council and the restrictions around heritage or character listed properties. Talk about, it's crap like that, Create content around your niche. Become the expert in that space. Don't become a generalist, right? If you need heart surgery, do you go to your GP or do you go to a heart specialist? Of course, we all know the answer to that. People want to deal with specialists in that niche, okay? And if you become a specialist, it will create momentum elsewhere. And of course, you'll pick up listings elsewhere as well. You'll start picking up the nicer properties as you go. So, number one, find a mentor. Number two, find a niche property that has less competition in it with other agents. Number three, create content around that. And I don't necessarily mean paid ads straight away. You don't have too much money to your name because you're still just getting your feet in the ground. So just do organic content and get people to share it. Make it so valuable that people need to share it. Put a link at the bottom of your email signature to your Instagram page, Facebook page, YouTube channel, whatever it might be, to help people learn more about what you know, okay? And then of course, then you can start running paid traffic. Once you've got a few sales under your belt, start investing that first level of revenue or GCI commissions into promoting yourself through paid traffic. Don't worry about your first year. People talk about it all the time. I know Tom Panos talks about it all the time. Real estate's a marathon, not a sprint. Don't focus on getting successful early. Many people do, and I was hell for leather in my first year, and many people do the same thing, but I did it at the detriment of my personal brand. I was just gung-ho, completely transactional for the first year, 18 months of my career. I didn't go and find a mentor. I did it all myself, and I screwed up massively as a result of that. And if I could go back, I'd go and find a mentor, use a mentor, leverage the mentor, learn as much as I can, find the niche, and then I would have had a more successful career during the middle phase of my career or my journey, okay? But yeah, that would be the thing. So to recap that, what I really want to talk about is, or what I really want to remind you of, is no one knows who the hell you are right now. So you need to introduce you to the market. The best way to introduce you to the market is as a specialist in a certain niche, okay? Once you've become an expert in that niche, that's when you turn on Facebook ads, Instagram ads, YouTube ads, LinkedIn ads, whatever it might be, and that'll accelerate your personal brand so much more, okay? Anyway, hopefully that helps. Let me know what you think. See you soon. Cheers, guys.